Hey, what's up? It's Mike Mal. I am alongside David Bray, and we are here to give you a roundup of this past weekend's NCAA action and give you kind of an idea of what went down and what you should be looking forward to next week. Now, there was some serious juice going on this weekend, David.
Yeah, started on Friday night. We had North Carolina head to Michigan. Both rosters a little bit depleted. North Carolina was missing number one, Austin O'Connor, and Michigan, of course, is redshirting half their lineup to the entire Eastern Hemisphere. But despite all that, we still had some really great action, and for North Carolina to go into a Big Ten power like Michigan and knock them off, that's big stuff.
Yes. Now, first things first, you want to talk about UNC beating a Big Ten team? If you would have told me that kind of stuff was going to happen 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'd be like, ooh, I don't know. But one of the biggest headlines for me in that duel was definitely AC Headley knocking off Will Lewin. Now, Will Lewin, a cadet world champion, dude's a hammer, right? But you got AC Headley, who was a big part of Coleman Scott's like opening drive of recruits. He just hasn't really lived up to the hype that we thought that he might have at first. And then he bumps up for a senior year 2 weight classes and knocks off number 8 in the country, Will Lewin. This to me is a big deal for a guy like Headley and for a program like UNC. Right? When you can take a blue chip recruit who maybe was, I don't want to say underperforming, but certainly wasn't living up to the hype that maybe he had coming out of high school, and then you knock, you put on a bunch of weight, you go up 2 weight classes, and then all of a sudden you're knocking off top 10 guys. Yeah. That's a big deal. Coleman Scott was super fired up about it. I talked to him a little bit on the phone. He knows how big this is for Headley. But we have some other things that did happen this weekend too.
Headley upset kind of kicked off a weekend that had a whole bunch of upsets in it. Saturday, Journeyman Northeast duels went down. One of the matchups that had left and right upsets was Arizona State and Virginia. Yeah. Right? 133, Josh Kramer started off his upset-filled weekend, beat number 19, Louis Hayes. And then at 149, we had Denton Spencer knocking off Josh Maruka, who's ranked 14th. The biggest one, though, I know you want to talk about, 157, Justin McCoy knocked off Ja'Cory Teamer.
I loved this matchup for a couple different reasons. Number one, anytime you get an upset, it's fun, right? Like, it kind of adds to the drama of a duel that you probably knew Arizona State was going to win. But it does add a little bit of kind of intrigue to the matchup. Now, that said, you want to talk about a blue chip recruit. Ja'Cory Teamer is for sure a blue chip recruit. Also freshman, Justin McCoy, looked great. And not just great, it looked to me like he had the absolute perfect game plan, right? And in fact, so much so that we got a chance to talk to Coach Steve Garland, and he was kind enough to send us a video in response. And he did it while he was on the treadmill, which is cool, right? The dude's training, right? Coach Garland is getting after it. But he kind of makes mention to some of the assistant coaches and how they went through some video with McCoy. Take a look at it here.
Picked apart some of the tendencies for the opponent, but more importantly, capitalized on Justin's strengths. Justin, I joked with him in the locker room afterwards, he's everybody's worst nightmare because he's really athletic, doesn't get tired, has a great feel, and he's stingy, and he's good on top. Other than that, he's terrible.
All right, so that Teamer upset was one of a bunch of upsets. We're gonna have an article up with all the upsets from the weekend, so check that out. But a couple highlights you gotta see. At heavyweight, big shake-up at the top. Tate Orndorff of Utah Valley, who came into the weekend ranked 11th, he knocked off number 4, Tanner Hall of Arizona State, and number 3, Jordan Wood. So 2 major upsets, right? For a guy who has been solid, but who hasn't been on that kind of All-American level yet. So that's a big move for a guy like Orndorff. Greco background, ton of hand fighting, and he can beat you up, and he showed it this weekend.
No question, man. He looked great. One of the things that I wanted to kind of at least touch on was my favorite bracket of the weekend happened at Journeyman, right? And it was the classic on the second day, not the duels. 141 pounds, looked crazy. Now, you look at a guy named Dom Demas, right? Comes into the season ranked number 1, gets knocked off by Pletcher, and how does he respond? He goes out and beats Chad Red and an up-and-coming Jojo Aragona. No, he didn't wrestle him at all, is what I'm saying. If you were listening, you got to kind of listen to what I was saying. Chad Red actually beat Jojo earlier in the day to get to the finals. But I guess what I'm saying is he comes out on top of a bracket that has some serious star power and some serious like gun power. These guys are killing it. Like Chad Red, he goes through a little bit of a scare earlier in the week, right? He almost gets pinned against Chadron State or something like that.
In that D2 duel,
In a D2 duel, and still winds up coming up out on top and beats Aragona, like you said, in the semis. But I love Demas. I absolutely love the kid. The kid just throws this awesome wrinkle into a weight class that is very scramble heavy. That's very, it looks like 141 pounds should look. Leg attacks, scrambles, that kind of stuff. He can duck, he can throw, he can trip, he can, his judo background is a lot of fun stuff to watch. So, I mean, look, if nothing else, just go check out the semis and the finals from Journeyman.
Duck attempt by Demas and going headlock right to near fall position. Takedown for Demas. 4 near fall secured. He's looking to secure the fall. And there's the fall. Dom Demas victorious by fall in 1 minute and 12 seconds.
Journeyman was amazing. It felt like we had a whole weekend's worth of action just at that event.
Yeah.
But that didn't include the Ohio State-Stanford match that went down Sunday night, right? We had the first match for Ohio State to host in the Cavelli Center, brand new wrestling facility. Man, that place looked awesome on the video.
Great. It looked great in red and black, for sure.
It was packed out and the energy was unbelievable in there. It really made wrestling look like it was in a professional venue on a professional setup, and that was outstanding. Right. In addition to that, Ohio State wrestled really well. Knocked off all but one of the Stanford wrestlers in that bout. Had some really good action there.
Yeah. So the 2 matches that I kind of had circled for this dual meet was 141 again, right, and 165. Now Shane Griffith, to me, is making major strides forward, right? Really, so for me, he was really good both in his freshman year and in high school at neutral scrambling and top. But now what we're seeing is he's taking the 2 and putting them together. You saw him come up on top of a takedown, slap on a cradle, get a fall against Ethan Smith. That's, to me, showing monster progress, right? So the other match that I really liked was Pletcher versus Woods, and it did not disappoint, dude. It was 1-1 going into the last, going into overtime, and then Pletcher comes out on top of one of the craziest scrambles we've seen this season, right? Take a look at it right here.
Again, that stutter fake, and now the ankle pick. Oh boy, that's nice. Now, can he finish? Pletcher with the whizzer.
Nothing yet. Whizzer. Good position here for Woods.
Boy, Pletcher did a great job there to keep the hand off the thigh.
What a
and now
dive
into
roll.
A dive and scramble. And now Pletcher certainly is not in a great position to score, but trying to hold on for a stalemate, if nothing else.
He's got to watch the danger position as he rolls towards his back. He's in a good position as long as he hangs onto that leg. But you got to be careful. You don't want to expose your back beyond 90. Now he's getting height. What a scramble here. Now he's in position.
Now Pletcher with the high leg with a trip and the takedown. Luke Pletcher with the score.
It's difficult sometimes to exemplify what it's like to watch Penn State throttle somebody. So one of my best friends, his name is Mark Fitzgerald. He is a living, breathing emoji. So we asked him, if you could describe Penn State versus Navy in one word, what would it look like?
Penn State versus Navy duel? Ouch.
All right, with all the action that we had on the site this week, we got a whole bunch more coming up next weekend. And I'm going to tell you about some of the duels on the site, and that's not even going to hint at the headliner that you're going to get to in a second. So Friday night, we got Oklahoma State. They're taking on Drexel. We've got Minnesota. They're taking on Rider. We got Rutgers. They're taking on Fresno State. Fast forward to Sunday, we got Bucknell at Iowa State, Chattanooga versus Iowa, and Northern Iowa taking on Northwestern. Got your Iowa schools fixed in there on Sunday, and there's even more duels than that. That doesn't even count the big guns.
Yes. Black Knight Open, for sure. You'll have Penn State there. But the big one, the Farrell, are you kidding me? The qualifier for the Olympic team trials, this is going to be absolutely bananas, right? So you're talking about guys that are registered. Like, I'm just talking about guys that are signed their name on the dotted line so far. 57K. Nicky Soriano, Seth Gross. Seth Gross at 57? What? Okay, 74. Dude, we've got Nolf, we've got Imar, we've got Mekhi Lewis that are all, now, are we gonna see Chenzo? It could very well be. Could very well be. 125, very interesting, okay? Gable Stevenson, maybe a little Anthony Cassar, who knows, right? Dude, if I told you that the NCAA National Tournament semifinals was going on at the Farrell, you think you'd tune in? I know I would. I'm super excited. You and I are both going to be there in Manhattan. We're gonna be dressed to the nines because you can't get into the place otherwise, right? But I can't, dude, and you know, we haven't even reached the subject of 65, which is, you know, you got J.O., you got Frank, 86, don't forget about Ringer coming in there. Like, dude, this is going to be off the chain this weekend. I'm super excited.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it, dude. Let's get out of here. I got stuff to do.